right, everybody, good morning and welcome to Tuesday Talks with Festivals and Events Ontario. And I'm your host today, Louise Jackson. And as I always say, my motto is aim high, go higher. And today our guest is Patti Kendall. Welcome, Patti.
Thanks, Louise.
We're so happy to have you here today. And learn all about the amazing things that Blue Mountain has done. Again, the theme of this whole talk is about reconnecting and how important it is for community members to reconnect, for tourism partners to reconnect, and to also make new connections and to be an amazing community. And Patti, I love that your bio, you're a destination tourism marketer, experience developer, and event creator. And I love one of the main lines I took from this is you believe in the collaboration is the key to unlocking creativity and innovation. And I think if we could teach anything else to the world of tourism, any business, is how well tourism partners collaborate. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Patti, if there's a little bit more you want to say about yourself and give everybody a quick welcome.
Oh, thanks, Louise. Well, thanks for having me. Not a lot to say about myself, really. I don't talk about myself that often. I am with the Blue Mountain Village Association, and I've been the director of marketing and events for 14 years. Prior to that, I was with Interwest for 3 years. So I've been at Blue Mountain since almost the beginning of the inception of our development of the Blue Mountain Village itself. And, you know, we were, as everyone, in a precarious situation, actually even prior to the pandemic in 2019, and I think our destination is not unusual, we all hit a peak in tourism in the summer of 2019. And following that, we really had to take a look at how we collaborate, how we innovate, how we create great experiences, but stay true to ourselves and unique and authentic in everything we do. So I don't know, Louise, if you want to jump right into sort of what we did following.
Yeah, let's talk about, again, your innovation during the pandemic, and let's go and talk about the Agora Path of Light, which again, we saw on our social media channels. I tried to book a couple of times. I will be there next year, hopefully. So yeah, can you talk about the creation of this magical event?
Yeah, so as I say, we were starting to think about how we could do things differently. And we'd gone from a situation of where we were programmed to drive large amounts of people. So we were programmed to create events that drove the masses. And then with that, you know, with the hope that if you get enough people there, that they're going to spill into the shops and restaurants and hotels. But following 2019, as I say, we needed to think about that a little bit differently. The people who were here paying for a great experience may have not had that great experience if there were too many people here. And then the pandemic hit. So we were not able to create large scale events. We were not able, we needed to look at how we created experiences that were touchless, created some time for families to connect. People were really craving the outdoors at that point in time, and they needed to feel like they were in a safe environment, and we needed to provide a safe environment. And we're very fortunate at Blue Mountain Village to have the natural assets that we do. So we also wanted to be able to spread people out. So spreading people out in physically, as well as spreading people out throughout the time of day. So we looked at the other natural assets that we were underutilized at the time. And in the fall at the top of the mountain, we have a skate trail. And that property was not used at all except during skating during the winter. So how could we create an outdoor experience that distanced people and was later in the day at a time period that we were also not programming anything? So we were very, very fortunate to receive the FedDev RRF, Regional Relief and Recovery Funding. And that was in June of 2020. And that was at a time like that turned around so quickly. The government was so responsive to the needs of being able to stimulate tourism, but be able to stimulate the tourism economy without really driving people. So keeping people employed, keeping locals outdoors and active, and then being ready for when people could come and visit. So I was, it was fortunate that I had already been doing some research on responsive sound to light activations. And we had already developed a light trail in the village. So lights became kind of my thing. And we collaborated with Blumination and their amazing team of operations people and marketing people. And one day just said, okay, if we're going to do this for the fall, we need to do this right away. So it was middle of July when we got approval for how we were going to use the funding. We went up to the top of the mountain at 10 o'clock at night, looked at all the different trail opportunities where we could possibly do this, and started the project. Found the light trail would be the perfect place for that. And this is by no means what I would suggest as best practices, but we conceptualized this, designed it, had it engineered, had the components shipped from overseas, worked with spoken word artist to create and craft the story, graphic designer, worked with the guidance from our local indigenous teachers, constructed the site, developed the marketing, put the staffing in place, did the media event, and scheduled and launched the project all in under 2 months. So it was quite a feat, but it took a lot of collaboration with a lot of people. So I'll just show you a quick video now of just what this project looked like.
Your story is our story. What will you write in the stars?
What's your name?
So we really challenged our provider. We found an amazing company, Limbic, out of Limbic Media, out of Victoria on Vancouver Island, who had done these sound to light activations, but singular activations. And to create this story, we really challenged them to do something well out of the box, well out of what they had done before, and also understanding that we are caretakers of this land. We were telling the story of land, fire, ice, and lights, and we needed to engage with our Indigenous community to respectfully tell that story of the land. So we can show you another video that is a bit of the behind the scenes of how we created this project.
Hello, dear ones. You are here to chase the light. So Agora, by definition, is an open space where people meet or gather to exchange ideas. Agora specifically, with what we're doing, is a path of light. It's a circular path through the forest on top of a mountain. And it asks us, what would nature tell us if we found a common language, and what if that common language was light?
We specialize in hardware, software. We're the best in the world at sound to light. And so we have powerful algorithms that we've created that have come out of academia that we've been able to commercialize.
I started as a music major and came in it from a music background. So I have a master's in electrical engineering from UVic, specializing in sound technology. So that's kind of where our background came from, is from this sort of like from the music and the technology music background, and from, you know, extracting interesting information from sound. And that's what brought us to creating these sort of like sound responsive lighting products.
We were very excited when we started talking to each other because we had a lot of similar ideas about where we wanted to go with this. And we really were thinking about the strength of the Aurora system that Limbic Media has developed, in that it listens much in the same way a human ear listens to sound, but translates it into color, pattern, and light. And thinking about where we were located and these 5 different stops along this path, it just felt very natural and obvious that it would become a communication with nature.
There, the participants will learn. It's a learning process, how to interact and communicate with nature. And they will do it through the language of light.
We have a goal for the feeling and, you know, the artistic emotional impact of the piece. And then we are using the mediums of sound and light to communicate that. So in a way, that's what it is it's like, these are the tools in our tool belt that we're using to try to create this artistic experience.
I would hope that participants leave contemplating what their individual story is and how they contribute to that greater story as a whole.
That's amazing, Patti. It's so beautiful. And we can see in the comments there that we had a lot of people who took friends there, and absolutely incredible. I know I love the Indigenous storytelling. How long was the path?
It's actually the experience. We wanted to be able to connect the shops and specifically the restaurants, because it was a nighttime activation. So we started the experience in the village, where you would go up the gondola at night, which had never been an experience either. So it's really dark, and it's really an amazing opportunity to ride the gondola to the top, then walk across the top of the escarpment where you'll see Georgian Bay and the lights of Collingwood, and then get to the trail. So all in all, it's about a 3-kilometer loop. The actual light trail is about 1 kilometer.
That's amazing. And did you get lots of feedback from people really enjoying the Indigenous education that they got from that as well?
Yeah, you know, it was funny because I took my husband, and, you know, I was all excited, and we're talking about it. And he's going, okay, I'm coming back here by myself because I'm not really, like, you're talking and I'm not really able to absorb this. But people found it very transformative. Like, people had such emotional reactions to it. It was far beyond what we had expected. And we also, just from an economics perspective, we had a goal of 5,000 tickets. So it was over the course of almost 5 weeks. But people are really spaced out. I mean, the gondola naturally spaced people. So we could only do, I think, maximum of maybe about 100 an hour. So our goal of 5,000, we more than tripled that, over 15,000 tickets. And then we did surveying as well with that. And 51% of people dined, 28% shopped, 39% stayed overnight. So those were well above and beyond during the pandemic, what we had expected. And we maintained 20 jobs and created 8 more. And then that doesn't even account for all the additional hours that, you know, the hotel front desk people would have, and restaurant servers and kitchen staff, and shops being open later. So it really had quite an impact on the whole ecosystem here.
So the path of light created light for all the businesses that were most affected in the pandemic. It's really great. That's neat. I also like seeing the different pieces, how you had the spoken word, and then like the working with the technology people, Limbic Media, and just seeing how she had mentioned, they were really aligned. And I guess that's your piece of collaboration, is you worked with these great people who helped bring it to life. And the price was fairly reasonable, wasn't it, to attend? It was affordable for families to get out and even if they couldn't afford to go to a restaurant, enjoy the experience.
Yeah, and this was also something very different from us because the Village Association, have provided free events always. So this was a collaboration with Blumountain. So once it was all done and designed and installed, then Blumountain took it over for the ticketing side and staffing of it. And it was, an adult ticket about $20, I think. And then this year, so that was, one season, but then we were able to expand at another Element installation this year, or Blumountain was, and extended it for another over 4 weeks. So it's been and it's been an amazing opportunity to drive traffic at a time when, like, our website visits in 2020, in the fall of 2020, while this was on, were above and beyond the fall of 2019, and we didn't have any other events going on. So that was quite amazing. You could just see people were yearning for something to do outdoors.
And before we get on to what you're doing next, can you maybe explain a bit for some of us who maybe haven't been able to have their events yet or do it? What is it like with communication and getting people with masks and having something like this during these times when there are some different rules in place? What is that like?
Yeah, well, we love to market and, shout from the rooftops what we're doing, but we weren't able to do that. So it was really, a lot of it was word of mouth. We were only advertising locally. And I think at that time we may have been in zones. I don't know. It's so hard to remember. It's such a blur the last year and a half. But people were still coming up, and the hotels were not, they were open, but not advertising. So it went against everything that we've learned in marketing up to this point.
And you said like for having people in the village, like controlling social distancing and all that, I guess that was controlled by ticket times. Did people like reserve obviously times and stuff?
Yeah. You reserved a specific time, and then we could spread people out in the lineups, and then they would naturally be spread out just by the gondolas themselves.
That's great. And so next up, we have something that's opening this weekend.
So that after the fall, then we followed that up with Holiday Magic. So that's our Christmas event, and that this year starts this Friday. So we are actually advertising that we are having this event this Friday because we have a lot of space to work with in the village, and it's quite different in the winter. We don't have the same kind of crowds in the village as we would in the summer. So that took us through another period in 2020 to at least be able to open up, get people into restaurants, and get people shopping and dining again. So we're looking forward to this year. We've got a new activation and installation from Limbic. Limbic's doing some more work in Ontario. No, they've just, Huntsville has launched their project with Limbic as well. I think they launched last week or week before. So it's good to see that these new technologies are being used by other destinations in Ontario because they're really great drivers. So that's what we're doing this week. But going back to 2021, that was a really important, element that we added, and we had gone above and beyond what the government had required, and we required people to wear masks outside as well as inside, and that really helped us in an attempt to get people to feel comfortable coming to the village and being able to even walk with other people outdoors along the light trail. So this is another trail, but this is a free trail, and it's called Holiday Magic. And again, it's interactive sound to light activations. And we've just bought these beautiful instruments from Percussion Play in the UK. and they've just left my office. They're going to be installed. And so kids can play a song on, it's kind of like a xylophone, one of them, and the lights will change and react to the songs. So, and to their play. So it's a really interactive, fun, engaging experience.
We look forward to trying it out because we're coming on Friday.
Yay.
I'm so excited. It's really great to see all of this. What is it like policing the mask policy? Has that been a struggle at all, or are people quite receptive to that?
Yeah, it took a lot of people to do that. So last year we went from having events team to having ambassadors, and these ambassadors were there to provide information, but also to keep people distanced in lineups outside, keep people moving, keep people wearing their masks, keep people from without, not bunching up in areas. And then that translated into when we could start to do some events, we had to look and revisit how we were doing that for this past summer of 2021. So we thought we can't do large scale events. We all know that. But we also music is a big part of what we do in the village, and it's a big part of our community. And these musicians are also a fabric of our community, and we needed to support them however we could. So we needed to find a way to hire performers, to let them play and be outdoors. So if anyone's been to the village, we have an events plaza. We would normally put, a few thousand people in there, have a free concert. There'd be some people having a Starbucks or an ice cream, but we obviously couldn't do that. So we we were joking one day thinking we have a mill pond and we should just fill that in with cement and create a gated environment that we could then have concerts. And that turned into, well, why don't we put a floating stage out there? So we ended up working with this really great company out of Muskoka to build this floating stage. Originally, it was going to be like an island, but then logistically, like we were crazy, how to get entertainers back and forth and in and out. And then it caused a whole bunch of other problems.
Logistical nightmares?
It was so we built a dock finger walkway out to this stage, and what that allowed us, opened up the opportunity to have live music again, to have great bands, and people were watching the bands. You could really only see it from sitting on a restaurant patio. So we've now just stimulated sales through this. So it's not just having enhancing a visitor's experience, it's driving sales to our commercial members. So there are 5 patios that line the pond. So people are already in there and they've been screened, they're distanced, they're out in a safe environment, and we're providing live music. So I believe, I can't totally verify this, but I think we hired more performers than anywhere else in Ontario in the summer. So we kept that stage very active. We have
how good did that feel to offer them work in a time where, their livelihoods were being shut down? And
they were so appreciative. The first performer we had, I think, was Pat Robitaille, and he had a 3-hour set, and he didn't stop for the entire 3 hours. We had our staff out there trying to give him water or take a break, and he just said it was so magical just to be out and playing and be out again. And interacting with people. So quite a different experience because they're so distanced from the audience, but could still interact with them. And then we're employing, the sound technicians and everybody that participates in music events as well. So really trying to stimulate that growth and keep everybody employed as best as possible. We had, in the fall, we have our guitar trail event, and that's musical performers all the way up the hiking trails, and we could kind of keep people distanced and make it one way this year. And so we had we had about 14 or 16 different acts playing, or artists, and then we always follow that up with a big concert with a headliner. Well, we had a headliner, but we couldn't tell anybody who it was because too many people would have arrived. So we just had a mystery concert, told sort of our loyalists who would always come to that event, you won't be disappointed, but we can't tell you who it is.
right,
And
you can't get overrun.
And what was really funny was it was the Jim Cuddy trio. It was pure magic. It was spectacular, but we didn't, the announcement didn't happen. The mics got switched over by mistake. So he came on and played, and not until the very last song did he say his name. So for people who didn't know who it was, they were saying like, who is this? Who's the band? Like nobody ever announced who it was until Jim did himself at the very end.
That's awesome. What an
Yeah.
experience. And I think you touched on something really great there, was the sound technicians. And, you know, that the worry was that some of these sound technicians change jobs and we wouldn't have experts in it. So seeing these people and creating that, I don't know about you, but I feel myself how we now realize even more the importance and the value of who and what it takes to put on these kind of events. And hopefully the public understands that more now.
Yeah, and the artists themselves. I mean, it was a struggle for us to find artists because they had to go out and get different jobs, start different careers, and where we thought everybody would just be clamoring to play, these people had to move on with their lives just to, you know, feed themselves. Right. So there are a lot of artists that have sort of left the profession and moved on to other things.
And were they some of your regulars? Like, were they some people that had fairly good careers out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad to see, because that's really their passion.
Yeah.
But apparently we have to pay our bills first. So
yeah.
How grateful were the shops for you and to see that like life in there? I mean, for them, I mean, restaurants were some of the hardest hit, right? Being shut down. How grateful were they for these types of events? Yeah,
we filled the patios every single time. We had one of those events, and that was our marketing campaign for the summer. Was you may have seen in different areas the billboards we had, that we just said 1,000 patio seats, because we hadn't even considered that ourselves until we went around and counted them all, and we went, wow, we have over 1,000 patio seats in the village and people are looking for patios. So yeah, and we just tell them we have 1,000 patio seats. So that was our entire campaign for the summer, where we would normally
realize that was a marketing point before.
No.
That's so neat. Can't find a seat on the patio, go to Blue.
But it created that vibrancy, and people would just, even if you weren't sitting down and listening, you could hear the music throughout, and people were just so appreciative, and just it puts everybody in a great happy mood once you hear live music.
That's a question we have from Debbie. How was the sound on the water? Was that something to contend with, or how did that?
Oh yeah, because we were in the round. So, and there's a path that runs all the way around the pond as well. So it's probably 750 meters, I think, in total. So that was a big challenge. So we actually, on the floating stage, worked with Cass Audio, our sound provider, and he installed and left on this stage most of the speakers. But we didn't know how it was going to really work out. But the sound was so pure, so spectacular, well above what we had anticipated, because normally we're in the events plaza and sound is bouncing off the buildings. This way, it didn't matter which patio you were sitting on, it was just pure spectacular sound. So we were so thrilled with that, and it's obviously something we're going to continue with and move away from. In the summer, prior to the pandemic, we would have themed events every single weekend. And we, through the summer, I don't see that we'll get back to that point of doing that type of entertainment. I think we will have these, that was one stage, but we had 2 other stages in smaller venues where we had it staffed and gated, and places where people could take out food and then listen to live music as well. So we had 3 stages going on this summer. So that's likely what we will continue doing in the summer, with other types of animation and things, like you see stilt walking in my future. But
you might know somebody for that.
Yeah, I might know somebody for that. I go.
There he is. Do you know anyone, Kyle?
So it is changing the dynamic of large scale free to creating experiences that stimulate sales and growth. and employment. So that's a big shift for us, big change in our mindset and our planning. We will still have, in shoulder seasons, we'll still look for those other large new initiatives, but with more of a paid ticketing model to that. So we are actually embarking on an exciting film festival for next spring. And again, that would be ticketed, keep people here for longer duration, and then connect all of the greater experience of attractions, of hiking, of shopping and dining.
And
So it's a totally.
That's really a cool idea. And before this, were you guys reevaluating your programming at all and looking? I mean, you guys must have just been so busy going before the pandemic. Were you thinking of other things like this, or did the pandemic really make this mind shift happen?
Well, it did. Like, we knew we couldn't sustain the volume of people that we had here in 2019, the summer of 2019. That, you know, it's tough on the infrastructure, on washrooms, on parking, on people's actual experiences. So we knew we needed a shift. We'd been in this pattern of what we were doing, although we would refresh our events all the time. It was still, okay, a new event every weekend, and let's just go bang. And now I look back and I go, how do we even do that? New creative every week, new signage, new entertainment, new everything. So the pandemic really did create that shift where we had a little bit of time to sit back and go, okay, how can we manage this more efficiently and create better collaborations and better, unique and authentic experiences.
And I think when you talk about some of the visitor experience as well, because there's sometimes when you would walk by that center area in the village and you couldn't really get by and you couldn't have that. So do you think that this is going to create a better experience for visitors to the village when they come?
Absolutely. You know, we want them to, people staying in hotels, we want them to be able to get into restaurants. We want them to be able to get close to the music, get close to whatever the activation is we're doing at the time. Not too close, 6 feet apart, but
get close, but not too close.
Yeah.
I just love that. I think it's really great to see how that happened. And, you know, we saw some comments in here about how, well, first of all, congratulations to all of this. They can't wait. How was your social media on this, with people tagging and the traffic and the sharing with Agora for one?
It blew up. I mean, during the pandemic, where we were doing virtual events as well, just keeping our brand alive, just trying to do what we could, yoga classes, music, programming for kids while they were, you know, at home, and giving parents something educational to be able to play for them as something different. So sorry, what was your question? I lost
social media. How was
oh yes. So we surpassed any of the trends that we had seen prior to that, and we hit like 30,000 on Instagram, which was a big jump for us. And people were looking just for those outdoor experiences or photo ops. They were looking for the beautiful photos. So even when we were closed, we still had some of those activations happening, and some with our lights, some with our photo frames that were decorated just with flowers, just to brighten people's day, really. And it was a big brand builder.
That's so great. And again, yeah, everybody was reposting old content. For people who are big Instagrammers, they had nothing to post. So this was probably a big win for them. I like the educational piece as well that you guys did, because I know it was nice for me to give things for my kids to look at. And in all the excitement, you mentioned the film festival. Is there anything else coming to Blue? Anything next that you guys are working on?
Well, we're working towards bringing back sporting events. So we are, you know, arts and culture, as well as outdoor sporting and experiences. So we're hoping that happens. We're working on a few projects that I can't really say much about at this point, but I think that's what we'll do in the shoulder seasons in the spring. Well, the arts and culture. Hopefully we can bring back salsa. That's one of our favorite events, working with Latino Television. So spring arts and culture, fall is really all about sports.
That's how we met. We got to put on our cycling event out there. So actually that was, I was wondering, have any of those sporting events that you worked with, have they sustained any like of the past ones? Do you have new ones coming in? But you know, some of the past events, have they all been sustainable through this? Our last talk was actually Steve Fleck, who was talking about the endurance world, and that by that shutting down, we lost 1 billion in charitable funds from the endurance sport world. So you look at that economic impact and, you know, all the cycling. Have you heard anything of anyone, any sporting events who didn't survive, and hopefully Blue Mountain can help bring them back?
Yeah, well, there hasn't been much in the cycling world. Still the trail running, the obstacle events, those sustain themselves, but no, we haven't. Would love to bring back more cycling, but haven't seen a lot of that.
Do we have any exciting plans for the winter? Well, snow, we're hoping for snow.
Hoping for snow. Snow is coming.
Lots of it this year, though. We need lots.
Yes. And you know, opening ski season for us is obviously very important. Through the winter, it will be for us in the village all about après. So we'll have live music every single day, rotating through some of the different restaurants and bars. Fire, ice, and lights. We have our light trail through the winter, Blumination. So Blumination encompasses all of that. And we seem to be adding lights everywhere, but on the skate trail, so the Agora lights, actually, a lot of those stay up, and they are there for the skate trail, which is just a totally magical experience. Wow. In the evenings to have all of those lights and skating. So there'll be a lot going on. Our 24 hours, which is a ski event that is a charity event. And we're looking at a few more through the winter.
That skating trail is going to be magic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So you highly recommend people reserve before they come?
Always. And that's the big shift as well. I'm sure for everyone on this call that we were able to shift the consumer behavior, because people had to check. Not everyone did. Not everyone did. And people from Toronto figuring just because we're up north, we would be open, but we were closed when they were closed. So so reserve. Does Blumination, is that always go on, or does that start after the holiday? After the holidays, we move right into Blumination on January 3rd. So no rest for the weary.
No. Yeah, the way you talked about having themed events every weekend makes it sound like I've seen how hard your team works in there, and it's really amazing. It doesn't seem like you've slowed down at all. You've just shifted what you're doing.
Yeah, we have a small but dynamic team here. Mm-hmm.
That's great. And so Patti, thank you so much. And I'm sure we've got some questions coming in there. Somebody said, we have Mike Miller here, who said he watched the classical concert from K2 and the acoustics were great, and so was the food. So you're really giving that authentic all-round experience. And I often say we're lucky to have Blue Mountain, so many great things in our backyard in Ontario that we can just, escape and feel like we're going away. How do you think that staycation tax credit is going to affect our your destination?
Oh, it'll be very effective for us, for people just come. And we want people staying in the hotels, obviously midweek. Come midweek. That's really a great opportunity any time of the year. But to have people be able to do that and then feel like they can spend a little more because they've saved a little more, and be able to support the shops and restaurants. And then, for the most part, all of our shops and restaurants are small businesses, local owners. So they were hit as hard as downtown shops as well. Yeah, that's the thing. People look at it as, oh, it's the Blue Mountain Village, but I know we've dealt within there with those vendors, and they're owners. They're local people who have a vision and work hard to be there. So
it's nice to see that supported. We have Sharon Donaldson say the 2020 Agora Path of Lights was a highlight for our family and such a bright spot in the weirdest year ever. So,
Oh, thank you.
that's so nice to hear. And our families needed that connection, right? We needed that. I think one of the good things is, I think more people in our province learned how to embrace winter because they had to. Did you find people are very excited about skiing this year? Do you find that you have how like your pass sales and is there a lot of pent up energy to get out on those ski hills?
Absolutely, because we were shut down for a long time last winter. So a lot of people deferred their passes to this year. So we're really excited about welcoming them back.
And were you programming, was programming allowed last year?
Last winter?
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah. So that's a big piece too, right? Like I know I want to get my kids involved in it, and then I'm like, hey, they're going to get too old to get to the basic learning. So that's really exciting. And how many fire pits do you have around Blue?
We have about in the village, we have 6 of them, I think. So we'll have all of those lit, and it's just such a nice experience just to be out with a hot chocolate and doing that. So
we need to embrace winter.
Yeah, there's still a lot of programming we are not able to do this year. One of the biggest things that we would do in the winter was our groove dancing, and that just got everyone going. But
what was that?
Groove dancing. So we have a certified groove dancer, Tyler Boyle, and he's amazing. And that was a great outdoor activity. We'd have families, we'd have couples, everybody come. He would get everybody just out dancing outside and following his steps and things. But we would have to create that as like an exercise class. People would have to register. We'd have to screen them. So there's still a lot of things we're not able to do this winter. And our drumming classes, that again would be like an educational class. Screen them, register. So
too many logistics. But we can we still come though to Blue and Groove Dance if we want?
You can, yes, dance 6 feet apart from anybody else. Dancing is permitted, just not as a class.
If you're a bad dancer, you'll create the 6 feet apart.
Yeah, and only dancing outdoors, by the way, no dancing indoors.
Hey, Patti,
we have a question here from Michael. Oh, sorry, Deb, about staffing issues, and how is that? Are you having difficulties with that?
Staffing, absolutely. No, that's I'm sure everybody's biggest challenge. We can't even take the hotel reservations that we want to take because there's just not enough staff to switch up and change up the rooms and work in the hotels. Same with restaurants. So people get frustrated. They come into a restaurant and they're not able to get in, but they see all these empty tables. Well, that's just because there's not enough staff to manage them. So myself, we're a bit short-staffed as well within our organization, and it's a challenge for sure. And we're having to pay quite a bit over minimum wage for anything in the village as well.
And do you find that again, like you're saying, people are coming in, they get angry, and so you're trying to maintain your guest experience with these shortages? Do you have anything like around the village that lets people kind of know that? I've seen some restaurants are like, hey, be kind, we're short-staffed, we can't find people. Do you have anything like that around the village? Yeah,
and in our social media as well. That's, plan ahead, be kind, be patient. We're all doing our best.
Yeah. Did you lose any employees due to shift, like people that didn't have work and then traded? I went to, I was in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I talked to some restaurant owners who lost business partners because their partners got headhunted to go to Lake Louise. Did you find that you lost any really good people due to shift change when there wasn't anything for them?
Yeah, well, it was the same kind of thing, and my son included, and he was serving and he would start to serve, and then it would be closed down. And so he just said, okay, forget it. I'm going back to carpentry and back into another career. And so that was fairly typical. Again, they needed to feed themselves, and I need to get all my kids out of my basement.
That's a keynote for everybody. Kyle here says, Blue Mountain has always done an incredible job using its natural assets to tell stories. It's incredible to see how they responded to the pandemic as an opportunity to rethink and how they do experiences. He is curious if this evolution to create immersive arts experience has changed your approach to destination marketing or reinforcing it.
Well, I'd say yes, or it's enhanced what we do, because we know that people come here for the natural assets. So it was a matter of how do we link those to an incredible experience that, again, extends the length of stay, extends the length of day, and provide something very unique and very authentic. So we're so fortunate to have the landscape we have to work with, but we're always enhancing, even with things, and even with things like a little scavenger hunt we do through the village, where we're adding sculptures. You know, we were also trying to keep visual artists alive as well. So we added all sorts of different mediums in the village, and then we could use those for our scavenger hunts and different experiences for families.
And international tourism was a big piece for you.
Yeah,
obviously we know that's affected you. How do you see that coming back? And are you starting to see some people wanting to book to come back in the near future?
Yeah. We've had to do a lot of work in that regard as well, and work with Destination Ontario, Destination Canada, to keep that story alive, we participated in all the virtual trade shows. We just did one last week with Japan and the RVC. So it's really important that we stay connected to those markets, because they will be coming back, and we need to be prepared for them when they do come back.
How do you find those virtual trade shows?
A bit clunky. It's not quite the same experience, but they're very well done. So it keeps that conversation, and it keeps our products front and center when they are preparing for people to come back, in either, small individual travelers or small groups. Are
you seeing any corporate travel come back to?
Yeah, we are actually. It just starting to come back, which is really, it was bizarre to see people in suits walking around the village. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, wait, what is that? I found it very interesting. Actually, I did an event with people I work with, and everyone's been online. And because it was so long, we weren't all recognizing each other the same. It was really interesting. So that's great to see that that's coming back. Rob Gray is saying, I spent every winter and many summer weekends in Collingwood and saw it grow to develop over the past 50 years. Blue Mountain has done an amazing job in reinvigorating the area with shops, attractions, hotels, and wonderful service offerings. I love taking my family there summer or fall. My question is, what's next, and what's planned for medium to long term for Blue Mountain?
Well, welcoming back our winter guests for sure. And working with our pass holders, that's a big part of what we're going to be doing this winter, to keep them engaged and coming back at other times, and offering things like elevated arts and culture opportunities, like the film festival, to get that winter market back here at another time. And as I say, we're looking for those bigger opportunities in the events world. I think it's going to take us a couple of years to rebuild some of those, and particularly the sporting events, and just keep developing new opportunities, or enhancing the experiences we have, and keeping people safe, and keeping people connected.
And that's so important, and keeping those collaborations, and how you said you had to keep your brand alive by doing things online, and being patient, knowing that some of these events don't have the budgets to move forward, but any way you can incorporate small pieces of them is really great. And the restaurants, they're getting back and getting good traffic, so that's awesome to hear. I'll be partaking in some food myself this weekend. I really do love what Blue has done for the community, and I think that we're all just so lucky to be able to hear from you. How important are your relationships to keep with, when you talk about Destination Canada and Destination Ontario? What kind of support do they give you? I know they're leaders in the industry. How do you recommend maybe some of us who haven't reached out to them to really utilize even organizations like Festivals and Events Ontario, that how do you utilize memberships of tourism leaders in your role?
Yeah, I was fortunate to go to the tourism summit a couple of weeks ago in Ottawa, which was bizarre. It took me about 3 days to figure out how to pack. That was a really weird thing out of that habit. But to just stay connected and stay engaged with the information that they're providing, particularly with research and different partnership opportunities, that's really key. And I find we're really successful with those organizations by being very, very responsive and jumping hoops to help them tell the greater story, but helping them with the assets to do that. A big part of what we've done over the last year is spend a lot of time on our photo libraries, photo and video libraries. So that is, if you can, working with your RTOs, work with those partnership programs to develop those assets, because those are going to be really key.
I think we learned even more how important content is when we didn't have any content to shoot. And we thought, what am I going to post?
Yeah.
Having a content library is definitely a key. And part of the reason I started that little Reconnect show that I was doing was to go to these local operators and give them a library full of pictures taken of myself, my kids, even from the kids' view. So that's a great message, Patti, is build those libraries. Get as much as you can. Does anyone else have any questions for Patti?
I do. It's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
You lost your furry friends.
I did lose well, he wants to get out. I'm dog sitting right now. He's my other gnome. Patti, so if people want to go to your light shows or the skating or whatever, do you recommend that they book that first and then a hotel, or do the hotels have a combo? Like, if you come and stay with us, we have tickets for this?
Yeah, booking, you always want to make sure you have a place to stay first, and that seems to be the customer path on the websites. People want to make sure that there's a place to stay, and then they'll check out everything to do. So some of the attractions are ticketed, some of them are complimentary, like our light trails and everything in the village. But I would recommend, yeah, book a hotel, book your restaurant reservation, and tickets now. This was a big shift for Blue Mountain Resorts. Tickets were mostly walk up, and now they're all online, and many of them have to be pre-booked.
And how did you handle technology with that? I mean, like, did you have to change your technology in order to accommodate that?
Yes, and especially with things like Agora, which is a totally different purchasing path, and because it was timed. So Blue Mountain only ever had, even ski tickets were not online until the pandemic. They were all kind of a walk up. So that has really shifted from pre-booking to prepaying, and then also connecting your hotel and your restaurant reservations. So I think we're in a really good place for future now that everybody is programmed to do that. And I think one of the greatest things that has come out of this is people are using the QR codes. So when we tried for so many years to get people to use those, and you had to have a special app, but now that you can do that with your phone, that's just transformative.
I was thinking that the other day. I was like, this used to be quite a pain to use a QR code. Now we're all so used to it. Are the pools open in the hotels, Patti? And do they have to book time with them, or? You
had to book, pre-book your time in the summer for the pools.
So we have to schedule more. People are better planners now.
Yeah.
Plan ahead. We have Gilbert from Fan Expo saying, congratulations to the entire BMVA team for delivering exceptional programs, and looking forward to participating in the events calendar in the coming year.
Thank you.
And where can we, so to find your events calendar, Patti, where can we go for that?
BlueMountainVillage.ca.
Perfect.
And there's also an app. There's an app for that as well.
There's an app for that? Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So Allison wants to know if there is a recording of this. Yes, Allison, there will be. And please do share it. You know, the more shares we get, the more people we get into these Tuesday talks. And I think that's about our time for now, Patti, unless anybody else has anything they want to just a burning question. But thank you so much.
I see Rob Gray.
Rob has a hand up.
Oh, he's got his hand up.
That Rob Gray. I can't believe it.
Oh, that Rob Gray. Look at him raise his hand. So polite. Hi, Rob.
I raised my hand. You know, Mom taught me. Patti, so many exciting things happening at Blue Mountain. I'm wondering if someone's got an idea, and we've done some giant Everblocks at your facility. We did that pre-pandemic. If I had an idea to create a Lego and robotics area at that, who would I speak to and how would I connect about that idea?
As a ticketed experience?
Well, yeah, something. I mean, it's longer term because there's no touching right now, and we're in the pandemic. But again, looking long term, medium, and long term, as a either paid experience or a sponsored experience.
As a sponsored experience in the village, you can connect directly with me.
Okay. All right. Is Helen, by the way, still there? Helen Stukater?
Yes, she's the director of sales.
Wonderful.
At Blue Mountain Resort. Yeah.
I've known her for like 20 years, so that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's it.
Lego and robotics sounds fun. Awesome. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate that. And again, thank you so much, Allison. Patti, I'll read this comment out loud for us. Allison says, thanks, Patti and Louise. Lovely to see you two powerhouse ladies. So,
oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. This is such a great platform. And thank you so much to Festivals and Events Ontario and Debbie for creating this idea, for Jay behind the scenes, making sure all the technical stuff is up and running, from having me as a guest last year to a host this year. And let's get Kyle to wave there. Kyle, you can join Kyle next week. Kyle, do you want to turn your mic on and say what we can expect next week? I could say it. You'll sell it better.
No, you're doing a fantastic job. But next week, Supply and Demand will be back, and we're going to be talking with more festivals and event suppliers about changes that you need to know for the coming year. So definitely tune in next week, and tune in every week. And Patti, this has been an absolutely amazing session. Thank you so much.
Kyle.
And we just want, sorry, Kyle.
I was just going to say, Louise, back to you.
Oh, perfect. I was ready. I knew that's what you were going to say. Yeah, we have, just so you know, for Kyle's segment next week, we have Creative Club Global and Can FM. So we will be speaking to those suppliers. And don't forget, check your inbox. It's beginning to look a lot like the holidays. I'm going to be shooting a little teaser video for that out at Blue Mountain that we will be sharing. And that's happening on December 14th. So we want to see your ugly sweaters. We have some spa passes that are going to be given away that day. Lots of guest appearances. And if you can create a 12 days of holidays for your destination, your business, we would love to have those submitted. And maybe Jay, you can put where they can submit those responses in the chat. Anyhow, it is so nice to have positive news to share. We're not seeing cancellations. We're seeing staffing shortages, but at least we have people to be serving. So thank you so much, Patti. Again, everyone for attending. We have to reconnect. Tourism matters, our community matters, and everyone in the festival and events and tourism world is what really keeps our communities connected. So thank you so much. And FEO matters. That's what Gilbert said. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you next Tuesday with the one and only Kyle.